Well, hi everyone. I just thought I'd show you the painting that I'm doing today using my new idea of using Dragonfly Glaze on my watercolor paintings. I think it'll look really pretty on some flowers today. Earlier I did a sample video using the Dragonfly Glaze and it looks stunning. So here is the first painting that I've done using the Dragonfly Glaze. Here I'm doing the background. I wanted to use muted pinks and plummy colours, and I'm using the hairdryer to actually create some more effects in the background as it dries. And then I thought I would add a few subtle flowers to the background just to give a bit of interest. I'm going to do some stenciling over the top and lifting, so I wanted to have that little bit of extra interest in the background, and wanted to keep it subtle, so I did lift some of the paint off as I was painting. So now I'm going to start stenciling. I find that lifting with the stencils is so much fun, and I do tend to get carried away sometimes, but I decided to try to practice some self-restraint in this one, and I think it turned out pretty well. I'm just using an old brush that I cut the bristles down a little bit. As you can see, it's really splayed out, but it's perfect for getting into the stencils. I can either use it vertically for wider parts or on the side if I want to do smaller areas. When you're stenciling, the more water that you have on the brush, the more paint that will come off. So just bear that in mind. Also, some colours will lift a lot easier than others, so it does take a little bit of experimenting to start with. As you can see, the first one I didn't use as much water, and the one up the top right hand corner is a lot whiter, so I'd used a lot more water on the brush on that one. Because I love lifting with the stencil so much, I had to hold back a little bit because I didn't want to overdo it like I usually do. And now I'm putting on the Dragonfly Glaze. I'm using one that has shades of violet. I think it was violet, pink and red. So I thought it was in keeping with the colour scheme of the painting. And then I thought it would look good if I just darkened some of the areas in between the petals and the leaves, just to give it a little bit more definition. I tried to keep the colours the same as the background, but a stronger mix of the colours. And I blended the strokes in so that they weren't so defined. I started off making them defined, but then preferred it if it blended in a little bit more. It was more in keeping with the style of the painting. I really do love shading and defining the outlines in this painting. It actually gives it a third dimension and makes the flowers pop from the background so nicely. And then I decided that there were a few gaps and it was another excuse to do some more lifting, so why not? And you'll notice where I added the flower sort of right there, there must have been some paint left on the stencil from last time I used it, and I got a bit of a yellow tinge on the flower, on the leaf, so I left it there because it actually looks really nice. It's a happy accident. Next, I outlined some of the petals and the leaves with silver paint. It's actually more of a pearly silver than a flat silver, and it blended in really nicely with the Dragonfly Glaze. So it actually complemented that rather than detracting from it. And again, it just gave that extra dimension to the painting. And then I got carried away and started putting dots and things in, and I should have really stopped before I started doing that, but I was enjoying myself so much I didn't want to stop. And the part that I love the most is when the tape comes off. I hope you've enjoyed watching the video. I'll leave links in the description so that you can watch my other videos. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.